Yay, I have a new candle. It's cute, right? So today I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to practice peace. And it's kind of a good example because this morning I went to get my blood tested basically, and they told me that they actually didn't do it right. My doctors gave me a form that wasn't filled out. So that kind of cheesed me off. But what I wanted to start with is that as I started making these videos, I started watching more videos about, people just doing this, just shooting straight out of camera and talking about their lives, kind of going back to the good old 2000s era vibe, like straight up vlogs. And I noticed there's like two categories. There's like these older people who are more like 40s, 50s, 60s, and the retirement age, and trying to like give um, life advice and general wisdom kind of to other people. But then there's this other group I noticed that are more these like younger people. They're like in their 20s. They just finished school. They just became an adult. And it seems like they're kind of like looking for answers, which I guess it makes me feel a little bit sad but optimistic at the same time because it seems like they're already recognizing their struggles early on. Like when I was 20 or something, I don't think I felt I had a lot of struggles, even though they were probably there. So I'm optimistic as well, that you are trying to look for answers. Like they are trying to look for these things much earlier. I only just, I guess, spent the last 10, 20 years figuring it out. But it's only like just now that I'm kind of on this path of really understanding. So I kind of wish that you did all of this stuff a lot earlier. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna dive straight into a little bit of an exercise, I guess. I guess it's gonna be a little bit strange. It's basically like meditating, but it's my version of it. And I do feel a little nervous and a little funny doing this. Well, let's do it anyway. I want you to also join in if you're watching and you're looking to build a sense of peace within yourself, because no matter what, like let's say people do watch this video and I explain it to them how it works, I don't think any video can really explain what it feels like. It can't prove it to you without you experience it yourself. So I'm doing this for me because I need to calm down, but I also feel like if you try it along with me, it'll be more convincing. So you're gonna close your eyes, take in a deep breath, and then just start paying attention to your breathing. Make sure it's like very regular. And notice your thoughts kind of start off up in your head, and we're going to move it down through your body because it tends to be a little bit floaty at the top. So, where your thoughts are, where your voices are, we're going to slowly move them down past your eyes, then down into like your sinuses in the back of your throat. Wherever you are, keep focusing on your breathing. And wherever you're focusing, try to let that part of your body relax. I'm relaxing my throat, my tongue, my jaw, and then I'll bring it down into my neck, especially kind of the sides of your neck here. And then I'm going to let my shoulders drop as I focus down into my chest, kind of down my ribs into my belly. At the same time, I'm going to relax my hands, my arms, just let them drop. We're going to keep breathing, move down towards your pelvis and your hips. Just let them sink into the ground. And then relax your thighs. Down, down towards your feet. And then let your feet and your toes relax. Now keep breathing, keep a regular breath, and just hold it there. In this position where everything kind of, you've checked out your whole body. You can center yourself around your, kind of like the bottom of your ribs as you focus on your breathing for just a little while longer. Okay, we'll do one last big breath. And when you exhale, just let it all out. Whatever you're feeling. And slowly open your eyes. So, how do you feel? I feel much better. And it just takes like a few minutes. It's kind of an interesting thing. Once I do this, and when I do it properly, like actually kind of giving into it, I notice my mind like clears. Like I know my muscles generally relax. Um, but that kind of like nagging voice in my head just suddenly goes away. Because you're not in that heightened state anymore. Like I was thinking after I left the lab for the blood work, and I was like, oh man, this stupid doctors, they can't do anything, wasting my time. They can't, you know, why why do they charge me money when I'm late or whatever, but then they waste my time and I can't do anything. But all I can really do is just sort of email them back and ask them to do the form again because they messed it up. But I actually have this like really hateful feeling behind all of that because of my upbringing and how I don't feel like I can trust people like in that are supposed to be looking after me. Like the same thing happens at work with my bosses. Like if they just like, why aren't you taking care of things? Like why aren't you noticing these problems? Why even when I bring them up kind of in the professional way, you just like ignore them or you defend against them. But it makes me so riled up that this voice just churns and I'm just floating on the top of my head and it's just spiraling up there. But it's interesting that as soon as you sort of like bring it back down into your body and you kind of slow everything down, it kind of goes away. The feeling goes away. Even if you couldn't bring it down all the way down to 0, even if you drop it a few notches, like the voice is like, okay, it's annoying, but it's okay. So there are a lot of things that will annoy you, and that's maybe something for a separate video, but like where it actually comes from is important to figure out, but it takes a lot longer to do that. So if you can just do the exercise, it actually helps quite a bit. And like everything else that we do, like if you're learning to bike or swim or cook or any sort of skill, like you're learning math, you're learning how to sing, you have to practice it. And only when you practice it does it sort of get incorporated into your head and become something that you naturally do. Something that's even like easier to think of is that everybody does. Well, if you're not disabled or anything, is that we all walk and we all speak. But those things we practiced when we were like a toddler for years on a daily basis. And even now, we still walk all the time and we talk all the time. But the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. Like you don't think about how to walk and how to speak. But when it comes to something like this sort of mindfulness meditation and kind of getting in touch with your body and your feelings, I think that because a lot of us don't even grow up with any of these examples, like if your parents or your siblings or your aunt and uncles and whoever else is taking care of you, your teachers even, if they don't know how to ride a bike or swim, they can't teach you how to do it. They have to learn it. But if you grow up in a place where nobody has these skills, the only way you can do it is to teach yourself. There's really no other choice. And you have to do it quite often. We stick with learning how to ride a bike or swimming. Like I was a terrible swimmer for a long time until I was adult. And biking, like you have to constantly fall and fall, and you just get frustrated because you can't do it, and it doesn't make any sense. And people tell you to do this or do that, and it doesn't make any sense. And you can't float in the pool no matter how hard you try. You're just splashing, you're sinking. But eventually, you just like push through and you keep doing it, and you keep showing up, and you keep practicing, and suddenly it like clicks. Suddenly you're like balanced on your two wheels and you're like gliding through the water. And it just makes sense. And at that point, you just get better and better. Like you understand how the balance works on your bike, and you understand how movement works through the water and how to work with the water. I think it's the same thing. Like once you learn how to stay in touch with it, at least that's the hope for me, is that this feeling of being in my body and being calm will be the default, or at least when things throw it off balance, like when I get riled up by something, that I can just be like, oh, I can just come back here. It is an automatic skill, and I don't need to push so hard to do it. I don't need to avoid my feelings. I don't need to distract myself on my phone or with food or something to make me feel better. Um, so I'm hoping that this helped somebody out there. Um, but it definitely helps me to talk about it and go through it. And I do try to practice this on a daily basis. And that's not perfect, but I do practice feeling safe every day now. I want to give myself some moment in the day, no matter what I'm doing, to feel like I'm okay and feel like I'm safe. Because the world is messy and a lot of crap going on sometimes, and it can throw you off, and there's all this bad news and fake news and stuff, and like just triggering you all the time. But when you're like calmer, it's actually like not so bad. You realize that I'm sitting here, I have a place that I can afford, um, I have interesting things that I can do. It's beautiful outside when it's not raining. I can feed myself and all of that. So I am fine. I actually am okay. It's just sometimes when you absorb all these things and you stay up in your head, it makes you feel like you're not okay, even if you are. So hopefully that helped somebody. And yeah, I wish you all the best. And for all the young people out there, keep trying, keep going, keep figuring it out. It's good that you're doing it sooner rather than later. So keep at it, and you'll do way better than the rest of us. We're still figuring it out in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, or whatever. So I have a feeling the next gen is just gonna like blow us out of the water.